Okay, for the next question, to what extent do the positive economic impacts of globalization outweigh the negative? Okay, for this question, the two factors, factor one will be positive economic impacts of globalization. Factor two will be the negative economic impacts of globalization. Okay, for this you have to refer to the table that we have just crafted. So under this table, we have the positive economic impacts as well as the negative economic impacts. So since the question asks for positive and negative, okay, do I have to write everything under positive and everything under negative? Okay, the answer is no, please don't do that. Choose either one of this for the positive economic impacts, okay, and choose either one of this for the negative economic impacts. Since the question did not limit you to either is it economic impact on companies, or is it economic impact on countries, or is it economic impacts on individuals. Since the question did not limit you to either countries, companies, or individuals, you are free to choose any one. Okay, but let's say if the question is very specific and it scopes the question to just countries, positive economic impacts on countries, then negative economic impacts on countries, then you have no choice but to write on this too. But since the question is now very open, you are free to choose any one under the positive and any one of this under the negative. Okay, so let's say you are trying to attempt the highest level on weighing which one is more important. Okay, it will be good, let's say, if you have chosen for positive economic impact, you have chosen the one on countries, and for negative economic impacts, you have chosen the one on companies. Then when you are weighing which one is more important, you can focus on the scale of the impact. This one impacts the whole country, while this impacts only companies. So which one is more important? Obviously it will be this one because the scale of impact is larger. Okay, then why is this less important? The scale of impact is smaller. So something like that. Okay, so you are free to choose any one of the factors here if the question did not limit you. But take note that for the last paragraph, if you are trying the last paragraph for that one last mark on weighing which one is more important, you will have to decide on your factors carefully before you start writing. Okay, so that it will be easier for you to compare in the last paragraph later on. But anyways, my advice to all of you is to not attempt okay, the last paragraph on comparing which one is more important, because that's only one more mark and you have to write on a basis of comparison. You have to explain why this factor is more important and why the second factor is less important. 3 things to do for just one more mark, so it's a bit a waste of time. Okay, so going back to the questions earlier on, for this one, what is the question focus in this case? To what extent do the positive economic impacts of globalization outweigh the negative? The question focus is inherent in the question itself, okay? For the last step of each factor, explain, okay, to me how the positive economic impact that you have chosen, okay, impacts on the country. So let's say impacts on the country, or let's say impacts on the company, or impacts on the individuals, depending on which one you choose. So let's say I choose the first one, economic growth for countries, as my positive economic impact. Then I should say how this economic growth can benefit the countries. Okay, if I've chosen this one, higher profits and market share, then why? We have to explain how does this benefit the company. Same for the last one. Okay, then moving on to the next question. Do you think FDI has a more important role to play than FTA in the growth of the Singapore's economy? This question is straightforward, okay? The question focus is how do each of them benefit the growth of the Singapore's economy? The factors are FDI and FTA. Okay, before you start panicking and asking, but there's no mentioning of FTA and FDI here, so what am I supposed to write on? Okay, don't panic first, because if you go back to the notes, the part about FTAs and FDIs are mentioned under economic growth. This paragraph is for FDI, while this paragraph is for FTA. So basically, you'll use these 2 paragraphs in your 2 factors. Okay? Now the next question, to what extent are the economic impacts of globalization on individuals positive? On the first glance, okay, this might be quite confusing because you may think that there is only one factor in the question. They are asking for the positive economic impacts of globalization on individuals. So it cannot be the case because all questions should have two factors in them. Okay, but if you read the question again, to what extent are the economic impacts of globalization positive? It will mean that there's another extent, which is the negative. So actually this question is asking for the positive economic impacts of globalization on individuals, as well as the second factor, the negative economic impacts of globalization on individuals. So this question is very scope. Okay, you can only write on the impacts on globalization. So going back to our table, okay, or the arrangement here, on individuals, the economic impacts positive, higher income. The negative impact, the loss of income. So the two factors are these two. Okay, you are not allowed to write on companies and on countries because the question made it very clear that it is about individuals. Then the question focus is you must tell me how higher income is a benefit for individuals and how a loss of income is a consequence for individuals. How does it harm, how does it negatively disadvantage individuals? Okay, the remaining questions I'll leave it to you to look at it on your own. Okay, and remember for chapter 9, you not only have these notes to study, okay, it is not just these, you also have the notes on SMEs as well as the notes on MNCs to study as well, okay, because the question types can be very broad. Okay, all the best.